Good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, the Education Coordinator for Marlene's Market and Deli. Tonight's special guest that we have with us, and this is always an honor to work with, we have Audrey Ross, the Country Life Educator, and she is speaking on the topic of supporting healthy bones and joints. Thank you so much, Audrey, for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I so much always enjoy doing these presentations with you guys because it's entertaining, and like I said, I was doing a presentation in New York this morning, and I'm here in Washington tonight. And so it's really fun as far as doing the virtual trainings. And I love talking about bone health because so many people are concerned about bone health. And a lot of times you see the ads on TV for women who are suffering from bone loss and to prepare, be careful about that and take this medication. But there's so many other things that we can do to help support healthy bones and to help our joints. And as we age, we have the wear and tear, and we know that our joints get a little bit stiff. And there's so many positive things that we can do. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, and just have a good talk about bone and joint health and the things that you can do and the things that you probably shouldn't do as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. So our topics and how we're going to do it, we're going to talk about the bone building process, because a lot of times people don't understand that process. As long as you are breathing, you can still build bone. Bones are alive tissue, and you're constantly remolding them. Then we're going to talk about what we can do to support bone building, what contributes to bone loss, and then how to support the joints as well. So that's kind of our topics for tonight. So let's talk about the bone building process. So there are three components to bone metabolism or remodeling or building, whatever you want to call it: osteoblasts, osteoclasts, and osteocytes. So I have analogies that I like to use. So think of this as somebody going out, the road crew going out to fill potholes. Okay, that's really what you're doing. You've got the osteocytes. That's the job foreman. That's the one that says, oh, there's a little bone loss over here. We need to build over here. Oh, there's some over here. So the osteocytes are the ones that direct where bone remodeling needs to happen. The osteoclasts are the cleanup crew. They come and they get all the dead, brittle bone, clean it out, like cleaning out the pothole, getting it all nice and clean, so that the osteoblasts can build in with a good hydroxyapatite form of calcium. And that's what's in your bone. So your osteoblasts are the builders, osteoclasts are the cleanup crew, and the osteocyte is a project manager. And they all have to work together. So you can't have more cleaning up than you have building available. So if the osteoclasts clean up more than what the osteoblasts have to build, that's where you start getting the bone loss. But that's how bone remodeling or metabolism or building, however you want to call it, that's how it works. You've got to have all of that going on at the same time. So when we look at some calcium facts, so calcium and phosphorus form calcium phosphate. Calcium, phosphorus, magnesium form something called hydroxyapatite. That is the most predominant form of calcium that's in your bones and teeth. Not calcium citrate, not calcium carbonate, not calcium glutamate. It is hydroxyapatite or tricalcium phosphate. There are smaller quantities of other calcium throughout your body, and they do different things. But 99% of the calcium that you have in your body is found in your bones. That's a lot of calcium. And that's why people are taking, they'll just take calcium citrate. But that's not the right form. That's not going to give those osteoblasts the right material to fill in those holes. So it needs to be in the hydroxyapatite form. So let's look at some things that we can do to help with the bone building. First, as with everything, when we are younger, we can rebuild bones very quickly. But as we age, that process slows down. And that happens with Collagen, that happens with pretty much every function in the body. As we age, it gets a little bit slower. It doesn't happen as quickly as it does in our younger years, but it still happens. So if anyone tells you, oh, you can't rebuild bone, or oh, you can't rebuild collagen, yes, you can. Your body is an amazing machine that can do so many different things. So what we want to look at is prevention, right? We always talk about prevention. Well, we want to prevent illness. We want to prevent disease. If you have a cup and you break the handle off of it and you glue the handle back on, you're always a little leery of that, right? It's better not to break it. So it's better to prevent. So Mayo Clinic did a lot of research on bone health, and we reach our maximum bone density at about the age of 30. That's when we get the strongest bones built. Because we're younger, we build them quicker. And it takes a little bit longer as we age. So that is a key reason we should start thinking about bone health in our 20s, not in our 60s. Yes, we need to think about it in our 60s too, but we should start thinking about it in our 20s. Let's look at building solid bone so that at the age of 30, we have got rock solid bone. So things that play a role. We always hear diet and exercise. Seems like diet and exercise are involved in everything, right? Whether it's collagen or whether it's hair or whether it's skin or whether it's weight, diet and exercise, diet and exercise. Everybody's, oh, I don't want to hear about that anymore. But it is important for all functions. We have to provide nutrition for our body to function correctly. So when we think about diet and exercise for bone health, we've heard, calcium-rich diet like dairy. And that doesn't necessarily have to drink a lot of milk. You could have cottage cheese, you could have yogurt, fruits and vegetables. So many people don't understand that kale and broccoli are great sources of calcium. They are. Oranges even, nuts, beans, and seeds. So people say, eat almonds, have some almonds. Almonds have a lot of different benefits, not only for the calcium, they've got your good fats in them, and they will have some fiber in them. Chia seeds, tofu. If you are not a dairy person, tofu has got some great calcium in it. Canned fish, and people always go, oh, canned fish. Sardines are great because canned sardines have got bones in them. And that's the exact bone that you're talking about, that hydroxyapatite form of calcium. Then weight-bearing exercise. So weight-bearing exercise does not mean you have to go to the gym and pump 200 pounds bench pressing. That's not what it means. It means just some type of resistance. Walking up a hill. Walking up a hill provides resistance, especially in the hips and the lower back as you're walking. So this is a great thing to do, and that's considered weight-bearing exercises because you are using your own body weight as that weight-bearing component. So when your muscles rub up against your bone like this, they cause a little friction. And that triggers that bone building process to start happening. So as you're moving, whether it's up a hill or taking a water bottle in each hand, yes, you can use weights if you want to. Some people do the strap-on weights, ankle weights, and wrist weights. You don't need a lot of weight. You don't have to go to the gym and be a bodybuilder. It's okay. You just use your own body weight. So those are things that are important for building your bone. But let's look at the things that happen that contribute to bone loss. Physical inactivity. I look around and I see people when I travel, they're on their phone, they're sitting there on their phone or kids, their big thing is they go to the iPad and they sit at home on the iPad, they video games. They're not getting active. Physical activity is important. Remember, physical activity is using your body weight as your weight-bearing exercise. Excess caffeine. I'm a coffee drinker. I'm not going to give up coffee, but I'm not going to drink a pot a day. That's silly. First off, I would be jumping off all over the walls, but excess caffeine helps with bone loss. And you don't want to provide any more help for bone loss than what normally happens on a day-to-day basis. Alcohol and tobacco, okay? We hear don't smoke for everything, and that's true. And alcohol abuse can contribute to bone loss. Prescription medications can also contribute to bone loss. some of them directly to bone loss, and some of them having to do with the digestive system that would inhibit the proper absorption of calcium so it could get to the bone. So prescription medicines, you always have to look at those side effects on that big long piece of paper with print that's about that big that you have to get a magnifying glass to read, but look at it to see, because those are things you have to realize can make a change. And then hormone changes, especially for women, as we go through perimenopause and menopause, hormone change is very drastic. So there are things that we can do to help prevent bone loss. And those are the things that we're talking about right now. So then we talk about joints. What makes up a joint? Okay, it's those things that move. We've got hinge joints, that's your elbow, that go like this, and they're complex. You know, how many people do you know of that have knee issues? It's usually having to do with their tendons and ligaments in the joint itself. It's not necessarily on the bone. It could also be from how your foot works and how your foot is supported, how your arch is. There's a lot of things that contribute to it. You've got your ball and socket joint, like your hips and your shoulders, okay? You've got your pivot, and that's your neck, because you can do like this. That's a pivot joint. And then you have ellipsoidal, which is your wrist, okay? You can move your wrist in all different directions, right? So you've got different types of joints, but they're made up of bones being held together with muscles and cartilage and ligaments. So if you look over here at the knee joint, you've got your knee bone or your leg bones here that are held together by these tendons and ligaments, and there's a little meniscus in there. Some people have had meniscus issues. I'm one of them. But you know, I didn't have surgery. I did exercises, watched what I was eating. I had like sugar. And when I stopped doing as much sugar, I noticed the joints didn't hurt as much. Sugar is a toxin. It can cause free radical damage. So there's a lot of things that go into play. But here's a knee joint. Say it's holding bones together. Here's your neck. Remember, that's your pivotal one. All of those bones, there's tendons and ligaments right in here. Here's a ball and socket. That's your hip. A lot of people who have hip replacement have this joint replaced right there because they fracture it, or they could fracture the hip bone. So what we want to look at is joints hold bones together via muscles, cartilage, and ligaments. Joints are technically where two bones meet. Just like you have a joint in a wall, where two parts of the wall meet, that's a joint. The tendons, the ligaments, and cartilage, muscles allow for that joint to move, whether it's your wrist, whether it's your neck, whether it's your elbow, whether it's your knee, your shoulder, whatever it is, those tendons and ligaments allow that to move without the bones falling out of place. So when there's damage to those supporting structures in the joint, that's when you can also get problems. So you want to have strong bones. Yes, you do, because they take a lot of pressure. They keep us in a frame. The tendons, the ligaments, the muscles, the cartilage, those keep our bones together. Type 1, 2, and 3 are your most important types of collagen that are in your tendons, ligaments, and joints and muscles. Okay. Type 1 collagen is the most predominant type of collagen in your body. And people think collagen is just for wrinkles, right? No. Collagen is from head to toe. And that's what we have to think about. It's not vanity taking collagen, it's other components in your body. Collagen is kind of supports your organs internally. Collagen is part of those tendons, ligaments, and cartilage. So collagen isn't just a vanity thing about wrinkles. It's got a lot to do from head to toe, but mostly type 1. Now, here's the other thing. Oh, as we age, we can't make collagen anymore. Oh, after our 20s, it's just worse. No. I've seen so many people experience positive results taking collagen in their 50s and 60s. So just because you're over 50 does not mean you're on the downhill slide. And so many people feel that way. Oh, it's just getting old. No, you don't have to be that way. It's a decision you make. But I'm well past 50. And I feel better now than when I was 30. I had more aches and pains and illness when I was in my 30s than I do now. So don't ever give up and always look for the areas that you can improve on. So when we think about collagen, type 1 collagen makes up 90% of the collagen in our body. 90% of all the collagen in our body is type 1. Type 2, which normally comes from chicken cartilage, is highly concentrated in your joints, but so is type 1 and so is type 3. So type 1, 90%, type 2 and 3, about 5%. So types 4 through 16 make up only 5% of the collagen in your body. So if you're going to take a collagen supplement, you for sure have to have type 1, because that's what you need to replenish more. Then type 2 and type 3 are variable. Those are the 3 most important types of collagen to take: type 1, type 2, type 3. You can see collagen does a lot, okay? They're in your organs, they're in your skin, yes, they're in the elastin that holds your skin collagen fibers together. They're in your supportive tissue, in your diaphragm, in your hip joints, in your bone. There's also collagen in your bone. So collagen is important for overall support of a healthy functional structure. So with the Country Life collagen products, we use Verisol collagen. And why we use Verisol collagen is because it has research that shows it works. And you only need 2.5 grams of the collagen to get the results that you really are looking for. So when you're looking at collagen of any kind, you want to have a hydrolyzed peptide. And what that means is that is broken down to the smallest molecular structure so that the body can absorb and utilize that collagen molecule. Because if it's in too big of a structure, it won't fit. If the collagen molecule is this big, it won't fit in a receptor that's that big. So you want it in a hydrolyzed peptide. You want a Verisol collagen because that has the research. And what you want to look for is something that would have clinical studies. That's why we chose Verisol. It has clinical studies that shows it works. Not only in the epidermis, which is the outside, but in the dermis, and that's where wrinkles really start, is in the dermis level of skin. So when we're looking for supplements, what do we want to do? Calcium supplements. How many of you take calcium supplements? A lot of people do. How many of you know what type of calcium you're taking? Do you know if you're taking hydroxyapatite or microcrystalline hydroxyapatite? Some of you may have seen both of these words. Hydroxyapatite is calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, tricalcium phosphate, hydroxyapatite, all kind of mean the same thing. It's a vegan form of calcium. Microcrystalline hydroxyapatite is from bone ash. It is from bovine bone ash. So if you're vegetarian or vegan, you don't want something that says microcrystalline hydroxyapatite. You want just the hydroxyapatite in the formula. Then the other thing that's important to look at is the ratio of calcium to magnesium and calcium to phosphorus. You need a 2-to-1 ratio. So if you have 1,000 milligrams of calcium, you should have 500 milligrams of magnesium. If you have 1,000 milligrams of calcium, you should have 500 milligrams of phosphorus. If you look at your supplement facts panel on your supplements, whatever you're taking for supplements, and you don't see that 2-to-1 ratio, remember the osteoblasts and the osteoclasts, they're not going to be in balance. You may have more cleaning up, which is getting rid of all that bone tissue that's dead and brittle, but your osteoblasts don't have enough filler to fill in those holes. So you want to look for hydroxyapatite if you're taking calcium for your bones. Now, calcium does other things in the body too. Can help with muscle cramping, can help with heart rhythm and blood pressure. There's a lot of things that calcium does. But remember, 99% of that calcium in your body is in your bone, and it should be of the hydroxyapatite form. So look at supplement facts. Look through where it says calcium. If it says hydroxyapatite, you should also see the 2-to-1 ratio, calcium to magnesium and calcium to phosphorus. If that's you're taking calcium for bone health, that's really where you've got to focus, because that is the calcium that will get to your bone. For joint health, you want to look at a collagen supplement. And you want to look at a collagen supplement, again, you turn it over to the supplement facts and you read what type of collagen is it. If it doesn't say Verisol, it's not in that tiny peptide. It may be a hydrolyzed peptide, but it may not be down to that smallest peptide. And that's really what we want, is that small peptide so that the body can absorb and utilize it into the different receptors. So a combination of the two, a calcium supplement and a collagen supplement, are really what is going to help support bone and joint. So when you look here at the knee joint, again, I just like the knee joint because it's the most complex that you can think of, and it's the one people have most trouble with. You've got your bone here, which if you don't have enough hydroxyapatite, this will become brittle. And then when these are together and they hit, you can have small fractures. When you've got the tendons and the ligaments and the meniscus and the muscles, all this, those all are supported through collagen. Okay, collagen helps those. The other thing I must say, hydration. You can take all this, but if you don't have proper hydration, it will be like you've got all the nutrients there, but it'll be like sand and dust. You've got to have hydration as well for your body. So the supplements for your bones, the supplements for your joints, your collagen, and hydration. If you look at those things to help support bone health and joint health and do them religiously. Now, remember, it's not going to be an overnight. People want to take things, oh, they want to feel something in 2 weeks. That's not how it works. Remember, it took you a long time to build those bones up, 30 years. But when we look at statistics, we can see bone rehabilitation about every 12 years, you can look at, well, you can almost rebuild a new skeleton. Now, it'll take a little bit longer as you get older, but you constantly are remodeling your bones. Same with your tendons and ligaments and cartilage and joints. They all need support. We all develop free radicals when we breathe. Okay, we're breathing, you're creating free radicals. Well, if you don't breathe, you're not going to be around and you don't create free radicals. But those free radicals attack those tendons and ligaments and joints and cartilage. So you want to keep those built up as well. So there's a lot of things that you can do, and it can become confusing. But let's make it simple. You want the hydroxyapatite for your calcium, and you want the Verisol for your collagen. That makes it simple. So when we look at the Country Life Calcium Magnesium, this is a vegan product. You see here, calcium hydroxyapatite, phosphorus in the hydroxyapatite form. These are in the hydroxyapatite form. 1,000 milligrams, 500 milligrams, 2-to-1. Here's your magnesium, 1,000 milligrams, 500 milligrams, 2-to-1. That is the combination that your body needs to make the hydroxyapatite to rebuild bone. If you're taking calcium citrate, is that going to work? Calcium citrate by itself, no. It will have to go around in your body and find some phosphorus and some magnesium so it can make the calcium phosphate to be the right form of calcium to go into the bone. So I'm not saying calcium citrate won't work. What I'm saying is your body has to work really hard to get it to the calcium phosphate form. But also when you have excess calcium in the wrong form that's not going to the bone, there's a tendency to have maybe kidney stones or that type of thing happen. And that's why calcium got a bad rap for so long. Oh, don't take calcium, it doesn't do anything for your bones. Well, most doctors were recommending calcium citrate. And remember, that's not the kind that goes to your bone. It's a hydroxyapatite, 2-to-1 ratio. Now, if you're not vegetarian or vegan, bone solid is ideal. Bone solid is right here, the microcrystalline hydroxyapatite. Microcrystalline hydroxyapatite, as I said, is from bone ash. It's from bovine bone ash, and it is the actual structure of the bone. You'll see here, calcium to magnesium, and calcium to phosphorus. And there's something really unique in bone solid called Fruit XB, and that is food form boron. And that has research that shows it really does support bone rehabilitation. So those are the things, like I said, if you're not vegetarian or vegan, this is what you want to look for. The microcrystalline hydroxyapatite. Okay. And then for collagen, this is a phenomenal collagen. It is tasteless, so you can mix it in pretty much anything. I know there's a lot of people that put it in their coffee in the morning. Some people mix it in water. Some people put it in their tea. You can use it however you want to. Some people put it in their smoothies. This is Maxi Collagen 7000. If you look right here, it's got the Verisol bioactive collagen peptides, 2.5 grams. That's what all the research was done on. The additional type 1 and 3, 4.5 grams, is also bovine sourced. Verisol's bovine sourced. This 1 and 3 is bovine sourced. Where this collagen comes from is right underneath the skin of the cowhide. So if you think about your skin, you've got the epidermis, which is the top, then you have this dermis layer. That's where your collagen is. That's where the collagen here comes from the cowhide. The cows are not raised for their collagen. It's a byproduct of cows being raised for food. So they're grass-fed. The peptides, the Verisol collagen, have been tested. They show it works, non-GMO. And this collagen, because you've got both these types of collagen in here, helps with skin, hair, nails, joints, and bones. There's a little bit of collagen in bones. So whether it's the calcium magnesium complex or the bone solid, there's your choice for your calcium supplement. And then the Maxi Collagen to help with your tendons, ligaments, and joints. How easy is that? Simple, simple, easy. And what I want to show you here, if you go to the tablet form of the calcium magnesium, you only need 2 tablets a day to get this ratio. Not 6. And a lot of supplements have got many more tablets to take. But 2 tablets a day, because of this unique formula, is all you need. Bone solid is 6. However, because it is bone ash, and because we've got the K2 and the D3 in here, if you are doing for maintenance, 3 capsules a day will work great. Now, if you're dealing with other issues with bone health, you might want to do the 6. But if you're doing it for maintenance, just to maintain strong bones, 3 capsules a day will be fine. So I want to thank you guys for your attention, and we'll leave the last 5 minutes or so for questions. I don't see Elizabeth there, but I'm going to go in the chat. Oh, there she is. Oh, here's the question from Michelle saying, do you have a specific brand of collagen? We just talked about a calcium supplement that you recommend, 63 years of age. You're younger than me. Good girl. Start thinking about it. I just showed you those, obviously. That's the collagen. And that either if you're not vegetarian or vegan, this is your bone. Or if you're vegetarian or vegan, this would be your other bone support. So those are the ones you have. You've got the vegetarian, vegan, you've got the carnivore, and then you've got the collagen. Now remember, this is also from bovine source, so this is not vegetarian or vegan. If you're looking for something to help with skin health, Maxi Skin Rescue is a good thing to have, and that's fruit-based beauty. So those are the ones I have. Other questions that we have on there, can you pull them up, Elizabeth?
Yes, definitely. Let's take a look here. Oh, and Michelle said, yes, thank you. And wow, Audrey, that's amazing that you're over 63.
Well past 63, yes.
Oh my goodness, I would have never guessed, but also because of these amazing products and your knowledge, it speaks volumes to that you preach what you teach.
I practice what I preach, for sure.
Oh, if you have osteoporosis from lack of estrogen, what would you recommend? Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay, so because we can't do medical claims, When you have bone loss, yes, it can be hormone related. And we talked about that in the one slide. Hormone changes, big concern for women, because when hormone changes, your estrogen levels go down. Totally up to the woman on what she's going to do about that. There are natural ways to help support that. You don't have to go take hormone replacement therapy if you don't want to. It's totally up to you. But what you're dealing with is bone loss. So remember the osteoblasts. Let's go back to that. Okay, so your osteoclasts are cleaning up at, say, 40 hours a week. They're just cleaning up all the bone metabolism and stuff, but your osteoblasts don't have the right form of calcium to rebuild that. Why doesn't everyone, I'm getting an echo. If it was just estrogen, then every woman would have bone loss. We all lose bone density as we age. That's a given. However, it's what you provide your body with, the right form of calcium, the right form of collagen, the right weight-bearing exercises, and a proper diet, allow all of these guys to work together to help rebuild the bone. So if you're dealing with that situation, obviously we can't treat or prescribe, but look at what you're doing. What's your diet like? Are you doing weight-bearing exercises? Are you taking the right calcium supplement? Are you taking the right collagen supplement? Are you drinking enough water? There's a lot of other things that are involved. I had brain surgery 15 years ago and was on very heavy anti-inflammatories and anti-seizure medication, and just to keep my brain from swelling out of my head. Those especially steroids, cause bone loss. So in my 50s, I was diagnosed with osteoporosis. When I went for my bone density last year, I was at a different doctor, and they were like, "Oh, you are osteopenia. We need to get you on this medication so you don't get osteoporosis." I said, "No, thank you. I've already had osteoporosis." They were like, "What? No, that can't be." It's like, so you're saying your DEXA scan machine is different than DEXA scan machine anyplace else? So they kind of stopped talking about that. So don't ever give up on that. If you're dealing with something like that, get the right supplements, do the right thing, watch your diet, do your exercise, and watch and see what your body can do.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm actually in school right now, getting my bachelor's in exercise science, and I'm taking a senior fitness certification. And I just learned this last week that women lose approximately 1% of bone mass per year until menopause, and it can accelerate up to 2 to 4% per year for the first 4 to 5 years that they're in
Menopause.
yes,
Post-menopause. Actually, post-menopause, because menopause is the 12 months that you don't have a cycle. After that, you're post-menopause.
Oh, thank you. See, and I just learned something else new. And then it goes back to 1%. And for men, they lose 0.5% per year. But by the time women have hit age 70, some women have lost nearly 30%. And that blew my mind. So I was super excited about this class tonight.
Well, that's why you have to look at prevention. This is what they traditionally see, so therefore this is the box. I always think out of the box. I'm not going to be in the box. Let me show you what your body can do if you give it the right ingredients. So what you're studying, I'm not saying is wrong, but people get into that, "Oh, I'm old and that's what's going to happen." No, don't settle for that. I'm going to be kicking and screaming till I'm 110. I'm going to keep on. So yeah, that's the average. Not everyone has osteoporosis.
Exactly. And so that's why this knowledge is so invaluable to prevent that bone loss, start at any time, like what you were saying. And that's an amazing story that, you know, in your 50s you had encountered that and have been able to get past that. So that just proves that this knowledge is amazing.
Determination, and you have to realize what you've got to do. You have to step back and say, I have to do it this. And you have to be diligent about it. Did I go to the gym and work out every day? No. Did I walk every day? Yes. Did I do the right supplements every day? Yes. Do I drink my water every day? Yes. So those are things that you take responsibility for it. I could have said, oh, I have osteoporosis. I was on steroids. I had brain surgery. Oh dear, I can't. Oh, poor me. I could have done that, but I choose not.
Yay. That's so wonderful.
Any other questions that we have?
Any questions, folks? I'm gonna check the Facebook Live here. Let's see. I don't see any questions on the Facebook Live. Any more questions, folks, in the Zoom meeting? We'd love to hear. Feel free to, if you're shy, enter them in the chat box. Yeah, and that was fascinating about the correct form of calcium.
And so many people don't know that. They just think calcium. Any calcium is fine. No, not for your bones. Not for your bones. Your bones say, oh, I can't use that.
It's all about the absorption factor, and if you're going to be
absorption and utilization. Absorption is one thing, utilization is the other.
I love it.
Well, if no other questions, thank you guys for your time. I appreciate your attention. Stop into Marlene's. I know they've got specials going on in the Country Life products, and they've got people that'll help you out and answer your questions, because I'm not there all the time, but you got people there that will help you and they know what they're talking about. So look for the Country Life products that are on sale and special and help support your bones and joints.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And thank you so much, Audrey. You are the best.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.